Things are hopping up for Newcastle in the transfer window. We've had quite a lot of reports coming out for different profiles that they're trying to sign in the forward positions, which is quite interesting. We'll be looking into that. And of course, many of their players being linked with moves away, some of which I think is ridiculous. Others, maybe we could see that happening, but again, very, very unlikely. But before I begin, if you are new here, please hit the subscribe and the like as well. It'd be greatly appreciated. But we're going to start here. The major breaking news of all of yesterday really was Liam Delap. Newcastle United are among the PL clubs who are due to hold talks with Ipswich in-demand striker Liam Delap this week. And it's true. Newcastle need another backup nine. They know it. The fans know it. And it's about picking the right profile. And I feel like Liam Delap is a very, very good player. And I've seen a lot of talk about, convincing him when you want to play back up to Isak. There is a lot of minutes that he would be able to play for Newcastle United, without a shadow of a doubt. Just look at Eddie Howe. You're looking at Newcastle versus United versus Chelsea. I made a video earlier for Chelsea. And I talked about Liam Delap. If he had to pick between Chelsea and United, it would be Chelsea. But if you're telling me Newcastle's hat is in the ring, I'd arguably say he should go to Newcastle. Because the thing is, when you've got Isak, he can play off the left in some games if it requires. Then you can play Delap through the centre. So it's not like Isak is completely blocking his pathway. And ultimately, Newcastle want to be a competitive club. If you're more informed than Isak, you play instead of Isak. This is what the culture that Newcastle want to create. And this link makes a lot of sense. For 30 million, Newcastle should certainly be in for it, upgrading massively on Callum Wilson. But that's not it. Jonathan David's agent was also at the Newcastle game. That's absolutely massive news there. But there's obviously many rivals. He's obviously going to be on a free deal. He's leaving Lille. This would be a really, really nice signing, Jonathan David, as a backup striker. Somebody who can play in the 10 as well as a second striker. He is a bagsman. He's won stuff with Lille, a team which, there was a season where they won League R and nobody expected it. Newcastle could be that sort of team that wins the Prem when no one expected it. So this is a deal that I would be fully behind as well. But let's delve into the numbers a bit. So when we look at Liam Delap, 12 goals, 2 assists in 39 games for Ipswich in the Premier League. Season before that, he played 32 for Hull in the Championship, 8 goals, 2 assists. But the reason why I'm showing these past 3 seasons is more to show the amount of minutes he played. 2,645 minutes is very, very good. Because ultimately, Callum Wilson and Isak, they're not the best in terms of pure availability for 38 games. I'm not seeing Isak as injury prone. Wilson certainly is. But if you're going to have someone to come in as the backup 9 or somebody to play in a rotation 9 and be available and ready to impact games off the bench, they need good availability. And Liam Delap has shown he has good availability. Even with his little niggles where the manager was sort of saying he's not fully fit to start games, he was good enough to come off the bench and make an impact, which just goes to show the sort of quality that he has. And we've looked at Jonathan David. It's even better, to be honest. Look at the amount of games he's playing. Look at the goals he's scoring. He's hit 25 plus goals in the past 3 seasons. For free? Jonathan David for free? You'd be silly to turn your noses up at this Newcastle, I'm not going to lie. You wouldn't even be upset if you lost out on a Delap, because Jonathan David, for a free deal, can play with Isak. He can come off the bench and impact. He's still young, 25, 26 years of age. He's hungry, he can provide goals as well. This guy ticks so many boxes. And I know some people are put off saying League R, but this guy scored in the Champions League against big clubs like Liverpool. He's impacted games against Real Madrid. This is no scrub. This is a really good player who's on a free market, who can have double the impact of a Callum Wilson did last season, purely based off availability. He's going to score you 15 goals minimum per season, I think, even if he's playing a rotation role with Isak. That's how much I rate the guy. I really, really do. And it doesn't stop there, because I've always said, and Newcastle fans in the comments, you guys, I see them, you don't really agree with me on this one. You love Joe Linton, and rightly so. He's a fantastic footballer. He provides defensive stability. He can score goals as well. He's combative, I'm probably butchering that, But I always maintain this feeling Newcastle need a pure 10. Yes, Bruno can create from deep. Yes, Tonali can get in the box and score. Yes, Joe Linton can do that. But who's the guy where you can look at him and be like, you get me 15 assists this season? You're a pure creator in the final third. You specialise in the high midfield areas of the pitch. And Gabri Veiga, he has that. He's also got ball carrying. And when you're looking at Joe Willock, who I love because I'm an Arsenal fan, of course, he's simply not good enough anymore. You know, in terms of you can fully trust him. I still feel like next season he can still help off the bench, Champions League games, starting Carabao Cups games, you know, FA Cup games as well. He'll be a massive help. But someone like Gabri Veiga, where I think the ownership of Newcastle also have a 75% stake in the team that he's currently at, Al Ahly, this deal would make a lot of sense. He's 22 years of age. He's a big talent. And if Newcastle got him, I'd be scared because he's a real good player. And I remember before he went to Saudi, players, teams like Chelsea were interested, Real Madrid were interested. This is no scrub, by the way, at all. You know, he's probably just made his money out there in Saudi now and wants to get into the competitive side of things. And he's still a very good player for sure. In Newcastle, if you got this, number 10, I feel like you guys are missing. Be very good. But I'm on Newcastle Twitter. I see what some of the fans are saying, and this is the window a lot of you guys would be happy with, obviously as a bare minimum. A striker, Jonathan David or Liam Delap. A goalkeeper, Joan Garcia, Trafford, whoever it is. A winger, right winger, Brian Mbeumo's there. I really feel like Bowen would be perfect for Newcastle. Feel like he would be an unreal signing. Let me know down below your thoughts on that. But I had a thought and I thought, Bowen deserves Champions League football. He's English. He's going to be a hit. He'll probably cost the same as Mbeumo. Why not? And of course, a centre-half, Thiaw, could be someone like Gahey for 30 million. You know, there's different options. But when you look at this tweet from a Newcastle fan, do you agree with this window as you watch this? I think it would be very strong and improve the floor. You know, the ceiling is pretty high at Newcastle, but the squad, the bench options, really good set of players to get there. And it's not like they're spending over 300 million. There's still space to even spend more, which is quite scary. And now we get on to the outgoings. Chelsea and Arsenal are interested in Gordon. Newcastle have a price tag of around 80 million. For a very long time, Chelsea and Arsenal have been interested in Gordon from his Everton days, from his Newcastle days. And there's been a lot of talk from Newcastle fans saying some of them would sell Gordon. And I look at the comments again. The guys that watched my videos, you guys really rate Gordon and you would say no, it's just a hard spell for him. He'll get back to his best. But hypothetically, if an Arsenal or Chelsea come in with 80 million, are you accepting that and then investing in something better? Or are you keeping that, holding Gordon and trusting him? Because it's an interesting debate. Personally, I wouldn't want him at Arsenal. I think he's a great player, but I don't feel like he's what we need. I feel like his qualities are quite similar to Martinelli, with probably him being the better player, of course. But yeah, it's food for thought. What's your thoughts on this? Would you accept it? And of course, the next one, which was quite ridiculous, Bruno Guimaraes, 120 million to the Saudi League. In what world would Newcastle want to sell Bruno Guimaraes? Not even for 120 million. He's a captain. He loves the club. The fact that Saudi would even think they have a chance to get a player of his quality, it is just hilarious. There's just no chance. And when you're thinking about selling players, you got to think about how many minutes and games they're playing. Bruno's consistency, the amount of games he played, 47, 50, 40, 42. He rarely injured, you know. He's barely misses games. Consistency in minutes. This is what you need from players. And losing a Bruno, not only losing his on-the-ball qualities, but the best ability is availability. And Bruno has that. And of course, Newcastle aren't going to sell him for any. He is absolutely untouchable at the club. And obviously, just to end, City won against Bournemouth. Not great. But I want you guys to make it to the Champions League. I really do. I hope it's you and then one of Aston Villa and Nottingham Forest to take 4th and 5th. I feel like City have pretty much wrapped up that 3rd place spot and they'll get a win or a point that they need to get Champions League football. But yeah, tough game at the weekend against Everton on Sunday. But I have full faith in the team to do it. But anyway, that's it for now. And until next time, peace.